it up while your feet are stumping and the jam is pumping.
The Ballarat Minerdome is a basketball facility that is all about creating an environment where everyone is able to play basketball no matter what their circumstances. These facilities are of such high quality standard that the Minerdome even hosts national level competitions such as the Commonwealth Games back in 2006. The Minerdome also provides a place where people can have meals and have a drink thanks to its in-house bistro, which can seat over 120 people and has a beautiful view of its show court, which is perfect for families, businesses, or social groups. The Minerdome also caters for those adults who like to have a bet thanks to its TAB machines located in its sports bar. The Minerdome was formed in 1949 and then constructed by the members in 1969. Ballarat Basketball Association created a national level competition which consisted of the Ballarat Holden Miners for men's and Ballarat Rush for women in 1986. They maintained their presence in the national competition ever since, consistently placing well on the ladder. The Minerdome has a huge list of commercial partners, but its major partners / sponsors are Ballarat Holden, Skinski Insert, McDonald's, the City of Ballarat, Wynn, the Courier, Bendigo Bank, Auslec, Ballarat Community Telco, McCain, Schweppes, the Ad Group, and Come to Life Ballarat. The stakeholders of the Minerdome is the Ballarat community, including players, spectators, TAB partners, staff, bistro goers, gambling companies, the state and federal government, and the National and State Basketball League are also some of the other main stakeholders. Overall, the Ballarat Minerdome is a place where people can go pursue their love of basketball by taking part in a structured game of basketball ranging from juniors to high-level standards of seniors, or just to shoot some hoops with mates. The Minerdome also brings people together who enjoy food and drink, and for some who have the occasional punt at the TAB Sports Bar.
Oh! The way we obtained information about the Ballarat Minerdome was by physically approaching the organisation and contacting the CEO, Peter Eddy, for a scheduled interview. We then conducted the interview and gathered most information there via Peter. He also presented us with an annual report from the previous year, as well as a financial statement, organisational chart, and a budget summary pamphlet. He was our main source of information, and he gladly gave us every piece of information we needed, and any other extra resource he wasn't able to provide at that time. He just simply emailed to us or gave us a website that would be of great reference for future need. Peter gave us many great insights into the Minerdome, such as its background, including its purpose, sponsors, stakeholders, and main attractions. He also discussed about the planning phase of the development of the facility, the design of the facility, the need of the user groups, strengths and weaknesses in the design, and then the consequences of these weaknesses and solutions for these consequences.
We're here at the Minerdome with Peter Eddy, who is the CEO of Ballarat Basketball Association. How are you, Peter?
Good, thank you. Thanks for taking the time to come and visit.
No worries, anytime. I just have a few questions here for you. Number one, what is your role here at the Minerdome?
Yeah, well basically, ultimately I answer to our Board of Management, which is an elected group of members, 7 members who represent the association. And my role is to manage the business. We run that over a number of different departments, and we run two different venues full time. Our staff pool is about 45 staff. So all in all, as I said, with that sort of size, our basketball competition size is about 440 teams.
Okay.
So it's a fairly full-time role just in the sports management and the operation of that, and on top of that we have a licensed club, bistro, TAB and gaming area.
Yep, cool. What type of people use the Minerdome facility, and what for?
Okay, well we really have 2 distinct groups, and we try and actually get more crossover, but generally there's a focus on our basketball people coming here primarily for basketball, either as families or as senior or junior players. And that's anything from 6 years of age through to Masters Comp at 50, so it's a fairly big cycle. As I said, there's about just over 450 teams in our domestic comp. On top of that we have another 56 teams that play in primary school comps, and then we have what we call an Aussie Hoops and an Active After School program, so we have about another 100 odd kids in that each term. So our total numbers playing each week for about 40 weeks of the year, about 4,000.
Okay.
So it's a pretty big market, and then our licensed club, we have about 2,500 members, and that ranges from people who just live in the area who just use the bistro, the dining room facilities, some people who just come here to have a punt on the horses in the TAB, some people who use our gaming facilities, and the purpose of having a licensed club is to provide another revenue stream to support the facilities and all that. We're a little different than most sporting organisations in that this is a freehold property. A lot are on council land or their council buildings. Everything here is owned by the members, or we borrow money obviously to build in advance. So we also have big debts, of course, but it is a freehold property and it's fully controlled by the members, not by council or anyone else.
Okay. Yep. Okay. What type of programs do you provide?
Well, obviously the basketball I've touched on. One of the other programs we run is a netball program. At our second venue at the Windermere Sports and Events Centre, we have 500 people a week playing netball there. We run, as I said, a lot of active after-school programs and Aussie Hoops programs to introduce people to our sport. We also are engaged in a lot of holiday camps and programs for kids in school holiday times. Representative programs, so we try and create the pathways for, this year, for example, you might have a kid starting at under 10, or at the Aussie Hoops even at, say, 7 or 8 years of age, right through to one of our best young kids at the moment, or a male and female. We've got Anthony Fisher, who's, I think, 19 at the moment, who's just had 3 overseas trips this year and played for Australia at a World Games, who also plays in our senior men's program. Abby Weerun, who was at the AIS all year on a full scholarship, who plays in our senior women's program. And again, it's come through. So we try and have pathways in development, and we have a fair diversity within the sport and with netball. Outside of that, we, because of the nature of the facility, we run things like dance sports. They have major events here. We had the uni games here last holidays, with the basketball component and also the cheerleading groups. Our other centre runs a lot of smaller things, craft shows, woodworker shows, that sort of thing. And we try and position those in breaks in our basketball or netball season so that we can actually have ongoing revenue streams in downtime. So the downtime periods from our 40-week of the year sports program really needs to cover maintenance and other events more than anything else. That's probably about it.
Yep. In terms of your current facility design, do you think it's running efficiently as it can, or do you think it could be enhanced?
One of the disadvantages of an older site, like this venue was built in 1969 as a 2-court stadium, and then it's evolved with probably 5 major redevelopments over that time, the last one being 2007 when we moved this used to be the TAB, the room we're sitting in now. We moved all that downstairs in our gaming room. So one of the disadvantages of that is you actually build with the footprint you've got. So we're landlocked, we've got neighbours on each side of us, we've got a road on one side, we've got limited parking. So the efficiencies we would have if we had a greenfield site and we were starting again, and at the moment we're planning a new 6-court extension to the Windermere Sports and Events Centre, the planning and design of that for efficiency of staffing areas and probably what's more modern in terms of what's accepted now is the types of space you need for recovery space, for your sports medicine rooms, all that sort of thing, is it's changed a lot over those years. So we would certainly think that what we've got is okay, but if we were building again, we wouldn't build what we've got. One of the things we have been really conscious of, and because we've had an older venue, we've worked really hard to take, a venue has about a 40-year life in general terms, a commercial venue like we're talking about. So clearly if it was 1969, 2009, it should be dead and buried. What we did over all those years is we've rebuilt and done different things. So for example, the whole place has been rewired. There's new floors on the courts, the roof's been replaced. All those sorts of things that would make the building age and become dysfunctional or unfunctional really are things you've got to address. So at the moment we date the building at 1997 because it's from that date to today when most of the major work has been done to renew or replace or upgrade. So we're now saying the life of the building is 40 years from 1997, not from 1969, and that's just by having a good maintenance plan, not taking shortcuts, and making sure you keep reinvesting in the business.
Yep.
Baby, you're so classic.
The Ballarat Minerdome was independently proposed and founded in 1969. Due to the lack of funding and sustenance from the government, Ballarat Basketball Association would mostly have to be independent in funding resources required to make Ballarat Minerdome facility concurrent. Being a legitimate vintage facility, it had to undergo various regenerations every 10 to 20 years because of its aging features need to be replaced and able to ensure sustainability of the facility. The Minerdome wanted to provide a quality elite basketball to the community of Ballarat, where they have hosted 3 international competitions including a Commonwealth Games event. As well as the elite side of things, they also want to provide a sports club where the community can get involved, as well as casual shooter rounds and various programs for the basketball competitions. In the future, the association is planning to provide an extension to the Ballarat Minerdome and the Wendouree Sports Centre, and to enable these expansions to happen, they are planning to endeavour to obtain funding from the government to enable this to become a reality. The design of the Ballarat Minerdome consists of 4 courts, which is the home of the Lady Braves and the Ballarat Holden Miners. They both play in the ABA, and it is used by 350 users weekly. The Minerdome is made up of 2 sections: the basketball facilities, which consists of the courts, offices, first aid, canteens, toilets, storage rooms, and change rooms, and also the sports club, which consists of the TAB, gaming room, and dining room where families or anyone else can have meals. The Minerdome has 4 courts, where court number 1 is the main court where the CEABL plays their matches, and the rest of the courts are held for programs and training for the other teams. As you can see in this diagram, the highlighted areas indicate the parking that the Minerdome provides. The entry points are indicated as arrows, which indicate 3 entry points for the parking and 2 entry points to the Minerdome facility. Opening hours are varied due to the fact they provide programs that are run at different times, plus they have casual shoot-around times where they charge $3 per person. As for disability access, there are no stairs present that disable a person on a wheelchair from entering the basketball facilities. It is all flat ground, and they also provide disabled toilets nearby. On top of that, they provide programs that enable people with disabilities to compete in basketball competitions. In terms of maintenance of the facility, they also have staff at the facility at all times to clean and maintain the facility. They also assign certain contractors, so if particular equipment becomes faulty, then they will call the contractor and it will be done as soon as possible. They assign contractors that are willing to do the job on call. The facility offers a canteen where it's near one of the entry points, and it provides basic food and beverages relevant to spectators and players before and after a game. It provides water, soft drinks, sweets, and savoury items. The Ballarat Basketball Association has 2 development preferences. The first one consists of the Ballarat Major Events Precinct, which is an expansion on the Wendouree Sports and Events Centre. The development will have a 6-court multi-purpose sports stadium, which will be used as a training venue for the Ballarat Rush, Ballarat Miners, the Ballarat Pride programs, and for the growth in our basketball and netball, as existing venues are at full capacity. It will also have an event centre to host major events, which consists of 3 courts. Also, an elite show court for the Ballarat Miners, Ballarat Rush, Ballarat Pride, and state and national events to be held, as well as the flexible floor dimensions, which allows it to run international programs as well. A high-performance strength and conditioning gym is also present, which can be used by the elite as well as the community also. A function centre and kiosks will be added, as well as meeting and conference rooms with elite team administrations for the Rush and Miners. The second development process will only take place in the first preference is done. The Ballarat Basketball Association realised that the first development of major events will only be meeting the needs of the elite sector, and they will need to meet the
needs of the community as well. The way they will attempt to do this is by an immediate 3-court extension of the current Minerdome facility and an upgrade of the badminton facility nearby the Minerdome. Of course, in order to make these development processes become reality, they will need funding from the government and planning and design of the work to clarify the proposals.
There was a number of strengths and weaknesses mentioned by Peter Eddy in our interview with him. Some of the main strengths mentioned by Peter was that they are very financially independent. They manage this through good skills, such as budgeting skills, as they had a turnover of $6 million this last financial year. The company does most of its budgeting in-house and is generally quite accurate, as they don't speculate or take risks when it comes to budgeting. They look at their history and go off the last 3 financial years to make a judgment about their future. Although their business is growing so rapidly, that for the first time in the facilities management, they have to outsource some of their finance budgeting to a budgeting firm. Another strength mentioned by Peter was that the facility prides itself on its planning skills, such as its extremely effective risk management plan, which has helped the facility's aversion of risk, meaning that it has protected its members and in turn helped retain its membership base. The facility has a very good employment base, as it tends to hire staff through Ballarat University, CEDAR, which is a sports school, or even through members of the facility itself. It has very low turnover of staff, which is due to staff members wanting to stay at the Minerdome because of its flexible hours and safe working environment. The final strength that Peter Eddy mentioned is that the Minerdome has a good sponsorship base. They average around 10-year partnerships with these sponsors and have some sponsorships lasting over 20 years, which means they have many sponsors eager to come on board with the Minerdome due to its respected name within the community. Through these strengths, the Minerdome has earned respect not only as one of Victoria's best indoor sports stadiums, but of Australia's, being one of only 3 venues in Australia to host 3 basketball championships in 3 successive years, and having hosted some of the 2006 Commonwealth Games. As for weaknesses, Peter Eddy described that the Minerdome was landlocked, which means they can't extend their facilities forward, back or side to side, as they were surrounded by neighbouring businesses and roads. The Minerdome is also an older facility, being constructed in 1969, meaning that it's had to undergo constant reconstructions to keep it up to date. Another weakness talked about by Peter Eddy was the flow of the venue. Peter believes that children coming into the venue are being exposed to licensed venues that the club has on offer, such as the bar and TAB. And this is a weakness because they want their licensed venue to be available and to be viewed by adults but not children. So they've got a bit of a complication there. So that's one of their major weaknesses. And the final weakness mentioned by Peter was that they have another facility within a K, so very close proximity to the Minerdome, which is a major efficiency and cost strain. So. Nothing's gonna ever keep you down. You're the best around. And nothing's gonna ever keep you down. You're the best around. Nothing's gonna ever keep you down.
One of the weaknesses of the Minerdome facility is that it's landlocked between other facilities, which disables the opportunity for extension of the current facility. This in turn has the Ballarat Basketball Association having to plan future developments to expand the Wendouree Sports and Events Centre to transform it into a major sports events precinct. A possible solution to this is to negotiate a deal or buy out some of the land nearby in an attempt to upgrade the current facility. The Minerdome has an issue with the flow of the venue, with the kids being exposed to the sports bar with the TAB sign and pub entry, which has taken away the integrity of the basketball club. Ways to counteract this issue is to do plain advertising on the TAB sports bar to just make it plain black and white, to make it an attempt to make it appear less interesting. Also to have another entrance that is easy to get into so it does not interfere with the TAB. Another issue is with the multiple venues of close proximity to the Minerdome and creating loss of money with extra staff and keeping the facility running. Ways to take this on is to really just increase the promotion of both facilities to see if you can gain more consumers and to try to expand the basketball league so that both facilities are being used. The Ballarat Minerdome has some great things about it, from where they have come from considering they had barely any funding from the government, and with their great skills of planning, budgeting and having a great list of sponsors to help them out. They also have a great employment with low turnover rate and great flexibility, which they employ through University of Ballarat, CEDA and the members of the Minerdome community.